Famous personalities who lost everything. Danny Bonaducci. All the 70s people or someone fond of watching old shows might know him. Danny Bonaducci started his acting career during his childhood. He became famous during the popular series The Partridge Family. His admirers could easily recognize him, and all thanks to a beautiful feature of his face, freckles. Everyone goes through a rough phase in their life, Danny too struggling at a young age. After the series of The Partridge Family ended, there were no other shows or jobs available for him. He even got intoxicated and obsessed with substances. Steadily, unemployment and intoxication took everything Bonaducci had earned during his stardom years. During the late 70s and early 80s, he used to live in a car behind the Chinese Theatre in Hollywood. Oddly, Danny was still famous among the people and used to meet his fans in front of the theatre. When no one was watching, he would return to his car and spend the rest of his day in it. However, bad times do pass away, and Danny Bonaducci, fortunately, he is in the 50s and living the life of his dreams. Brett Butler. She was a star in the 90s. Butler earned a lot of recognition as Grace from the ABC's hit series, Grace Under Fire. Her character was independent and tough, however, in reality, her life was not that strong. Brett's life went down the hill, and thanks to substance. Even though she was the star of the network show and had got paid handsomely, her bad habit took everything away. The effect of the habit started to show in her work as well, and it led to the termination of the Grace Under Fire. She moved out of La and vanished in thin air for several years, and nobody knew where Butler was residing. Later, it was learned that the famous character Grace was living on a farm in Georgia. She had lost all her money and was living in a homeless shelter, but everyone gets a chance to change their life. Butler took that chance, and since 2012 she has been back and appearing on different shows and movies. Randy Quaid. Although he wasn't a superstar, he made a good amount of money by starring in famous movies such as Independence Day. His face was very recognizable, but recently the image of the star is not good at all. Randy has not been seen in any new movies, and all the clues lead to one conclusion: once a Hollywood star has lost all his money. He was even arrested for failing to pay the bills and living in a house he didn't own. Quaid was not only homeless but also without a country. He was sure that someone is trying to get him. Therefore he went to Canada from the US and tried to get refugee status, but Canada refused. Because of this, he traveled back and forth. Today, he is getting closer to nature in Vermont. Sugar Ray Williams. Sports is one of the best ways to be famous and get rich faster. So many athletes who went from rags to rich. But things can go south in a blink of an eye. Ray Williams became a basketball player when he was drafted by the New York Knicks. He achieved the dream that many young people aspire to. From 1977 till a decade, Williams enjoyed his career life and finally had to retire in 1987. Despite being a pro athlete, retirement brought a set of financial problems in Ray's life. In 1994, the basketball player declared bankruptcy, which cost him his family and his home. The NBA pension could not help him either after he had lost all of it is a scam. Unfortunately, his new life was short-lived as he passed away in 2013. Robert Driscoll. Even the life of child actors is filled with health issues, financial problems, and other challenges. Robert was also known as Bobby Driscoll and was quite prominent in the 1940s and 50s. He was so well known that his career looked set and financially stable. He was a Disney star. His name was so big that Peter Pan was modeled on his look, and for a decade he was employed appearing on radio and television shows. It was in the early 60s that all went wrong. American Golden Boy was in trouble legally as well as in substance use. In 1965 he shifted to New York for a job, but nothing happened and used to sleep on the streets for several months. 3 years later, in 1968, some kids found his body in an abandoned apartment where he used to live. Natasha Lyonne. Her career took off when she starred as the best friend of Tara Reid in the popular 90s show American Pie. Natasha again hit a gold mine when she landed the role of a female inmate in the famous series Orange is the New Black. But life was not easy for her all this time. She had hit the rock bottom in 2004. The star had to deal with law-related problems and was evicted from her home. She suffered from hepatitis C, heart infection, collapsed lung, and had marks on her arms from substance injection. For a while, Natasha lived on the streets but was able to turn things around. Margot Kidder. She played the love life of then Superman starring Christopher Reeve and became very popular after that. Margot was very busy during the 70s, 80s, and the 90s, however in 1996 everything fell apart. She suffered from bipolar disease and vanished somewhere in Los Angeles. A few days later, people found her on the street living under bushes and cardboard. She was unrecognizable and had lost some teeth as well.